Welcome to the 2021 PSA User Conference Production Track Session, Production Reporting and Smart Reports. My name is Michael Hogan. In today's session, we will be taking a look at some new developments in reporting, revisiting some old reports with new functionality, and looking at ways to get more out of your data. Before we begin, there are a few housekeeping things to review. All attendees will be muted during the presentation to cut down on background noise and/or interference. We also recommend that all attendees turn off their web cameras. This session will be recorded and will be made available via Dropbox once the conference is concluded. Questions relating to today's session topic can be entered into the chat box at any time and will be answered and reviewed at the end of the session. Or, if you have questions that are not related to this session's topic, they can be sent directly to our support department at support@canamsys.com. First and foremost, it's important to stay up to date with new reports that are being developed. We periodically add new reports as part of our ongoing development. As always, by default, we do not activate security on new reports. We leave that to you to allow access. So it's important to review your security roles and activate any relevant reports. This can be done simply by going to the Settings section, Roles, choosing the role you want to review, go to the Report Security section, and add a checkmark to any new reports that you want access to. A new feature that we have developed is the franchise level reporting. While not all of you are part of a franchise, you can still make use of this feature if you have multiple company files or locations. This means no more exporting, combining, and resorting and recombining multiple spreadsheets to get a clear overall picture of your company. What's this really mean? Well, say you want a quick way to see what is incoming to all locations to help track or redirect work for better response times. You can run the new assignment franchise report, choose all of your locations, and you now have a single report grouped by location showing all incoming work that is yet to be approved. It's a strong tool in your toolbox for landing new work. Focusing more at a single company level reporting, we have been redeveloping a number of reports using a more efficient reporting engine, giving you access to your information in about 1/100th of the time. New reports such as the job listing, job management, production, and time card approval reports have already been completed. On that note, I'd like to bring your attention to 3 big reports that you should be familiar with. These will help you keep track of work coming in, through production, and into post-production collections. The first is the new assignment report. This identifies what potential work is coming in or waiting for approval. Next is the job management report. This shows us how production work is progressing and are things staying on track and on budget. And finally, the completed job. This shows us what production is complete and waiting on collections. Regular use of these 3 will give you a good high-level view of your jobs, their status, and help identify any jobs that may be flagging or in distress. Standard reporting is an excellent way to be able to take stock of what your current status is. Now, let's take a look at the Smart Reporting as a tool to help drive your information forward into useful, actionable items. One of the biggest differences between your standard black and white reporting and the Smart Reporting is the ability to pick and choose the information you want to view and make that information stand out. Smart Reporting can be used for more than just charts and graphs. It's an excellent tool for auditing information and making missing or important information pop out to be addressed. For instance, let's look at a missing item report. Now we have colors that stand out clearly and can easily see an overview of what needs attention. But let's take that a step further and limit the list to a specific PM. Let's choose our man Bob. Now we can see what Bob needs to address, and you can easily see where there are highlighted items that require specific attention. We can also filter for a group of PMs. So if our man Bob here is covering for someone else, like Mary Ann, who happens to be on vacation, we can choose both PMs and now see a combined list of their actionable items. This can be easily printed or exported to Excel or PDF or emailed to Bob for his immediate attention. This will give Bob a tool that he needs in a concise format so he can focus on the work that he should be doing instead of trying to figure out what should be done next. You can also use Smart Reports to help teach employees what they should be paying attention to. Here's a sample employee scorecard or action card, and let's pick on Bob again. Now we can see that he has some areas that he should be looking at to improve. Now we can sit here and run this report every week manually, or we can schedule it to automatically email Bob every Monday morning as a training tool or a quick reference to what happened the week before. We can also have it send a copy to Bob's manager so he can follow up. You can also use the smart reporting as a tool to help monitor overall jobs in the system. Take the PSA job audit report as an example. Running it simply for this year, we can see that there is an issue with the Karen Raymer job. We have an approval date filled in, but no budget. This shows us that the estimating or estimate has not been imported or updated. And so we have a commitment of work, but no idea how much we've committed to. We could spend a lot of time going through more reports, but here is the real power of smart reporting. With smart reporting, you have a way of creating your own analytics or reporting on information that is important to you that we may not already have on an existing report. Let's build a quick report so you can see what I mean. First, you will see a list of resources, or what we call views. These are different groups of information that can be used as a base for your report. Having all the information for all jobs in one view would simply produce something so large that the data would take forever to load and be essentially unusable. So we break things down to more focused data sets. Let's choose the job management view as the base for our report. You can see the list of available fields on the right-hand side. We're just going to choose the job name for now and click OK. Now you'll see we've built a quick report, a list of all job names in the system, which is great and unusable. So let's add some more information. Well, here we'll choose the job type, and you notice I can just click and drag from the left into my table, and the field is automatically added. So let's choose the job type, and let's choose a couple dates. We'll say the received date and the contacted date. Now we're already seeing that we've gotten a lot of receives, but no contacted. Now, hopefully this is not the case for you guys, but I think all of my contacts are blank, which gives us a great way to work. Now we want to make this more useful, so let's add a quick calculation of our own. We'll scroll down on the left to the formula section, add a new formula. In here, you'll see a list of the fields available to work with on the left, built-in functions in the middle, and some mathematical functions on the right. We're going to use something from the date time called date diff. I have this pre-listed, so it's easier to work with. What we're going to be looking at is the difference in hours between our date received and our date contacted. And we'll name this hours to contact. And that will be a group section in our table. Now we can see on the left our personalized field. We'll take this, drag that into our table. And we've added something in our table that we've built ourselves. Now let's just sort the ascending so we actually have some numbers to look at. Now, I'm hoping that it hasn't taken you 14,000 hours to contact your client, but this is our testing data. The report is starting to come together, but let's make it look a little bit better. We can quickly format our date fields to make them more legible. And let's add some color to our report with some conditional formatting. Now we'll take a look at anything that's over 24 hours and make that highlight in red. Now you can start to see the power and the ease it is to customize this. But say we want to make this show a little bit better and have a different color for some different job types. So we'll take our look in here at our current conditional formatting, and we'll add the actual extra condition for a job type of, say, emergency fire. And we'll add a secondary conditional formatting. The same in water, we'll say it's over 12 hours. and water is going to highlight in blue. Now, say we want to use or draw attention to a particular piece of information even more. We can add something onto the report called a KPI. And you notice the secondary object that we're adding onto the report can use any of the views available. I'm going to use the same job management view because I want to work with the same fields. Here, just bring that onto the report a bit better. And you'll notice inside of this one here, it's looking for a specific type of field, a formula or a KPI or an aggregation. We're going to use an aggregation. Now, the difference between a formula and an aggregation is a formula allows you to work with fields within the existing view and do calculations based on differences, like we did the date difference or differences in value, things like that. An aggregation will take a field in the view or one that we've created and allow us to make summaries or straight calculations on that particular field. So we're going to add an aggregation here. And we're going to call this the average hours. And we're going to use our calculated formula that we did and create an immediate average. As before, you'll notice it's added to the list immediately. We'll take that, we'll drag that into our KPI field. What this is going to do is make it just pop out on its own and give us the overall average hours of the report that we're viewing. Now, if we click on here and we just want to change the properties for this a little bit, make it a little bit better, you notice by default, it's going to auto map the field name. So whatever we called it on the left, it's going to automatically name it the field that. We'll take that off to allow us to actually just change the label. And we don't want the full average, we just want AVG to make it nice and quick. In here, we can also work on the formatting, the backgrounds, foregrounds, so the text colors, the background coloring. If you want to play with the positioning or put in borders, things like that, that's all in this section here. As well as changing the fonts to something better or a little bit larger, a little bit smaller. We'll make this one pop out at 18. Average hours, let's make this a little bit smaller. And you can see that we have a way of taking a piece of information from our chart and making it pop out on its own. So regardless of what we're looking at or what page we're looking at in here, we can still see this information on the side. Now, say we wanted to do the same kind of concept, but keep it internal to the table itself. I'm going to come over here, right click on the table options, and I'm going to show something called the table group footer. What this does is adds an extra field or row at the bottom of each grouping so that we can add in a summary there. I'm just going to right click in the field itself, and we have something called aggregate on. Should sound familiar. This is going to allow us to easily choose what field we want to work with, and I'm going to generate an aggregate. And this time I'll just go summary. Okay, and we'll click OK. Just to show you the difference, we have nothing at the top, so summary of 0 is 0. Let's go to something that has something, and somehow we've gone into a negative amount of time. But you can see the summary as a field, quick field, and piece of information for the table itself. Now our table is showing a lot of information, still essentially showing us every job within the system. So let's look at a few ways of filtering that. And there are a few different things. The first items I'd like to show you are the query filter and filter. The only difference between these two is the filter gives you an option of listing just within the fields that are in the object itself. So for our table, we have our job name, job type, and the other selected fields. The query filter allows you to choose and filter by any field in the view. For us, or what we'll do here, we'll just actually take the received date and base a filter off of that to make it nice and simple. I'm going to go greater than and equal to, And you'll notice in this section, there's actually an option here to toggle. If we choose our drop-down at first, we'll see every date that's currently in the received field. We'll change that to an actual calendar, and now we can actually just choose any particular date that we want. Let's choose January, and since that's our testing data, let's go back a year to January 1st, 2020, just to make sure we actually have some data in this set that we can recreate. We'll click OK. And then we'll notice, we don't notice a lot there, but our number of pages has gone down from 35 to 12. Okay. Now the filter that we just applied is to our table comp. That's applied to. Now since we have two different objects on our report, we'll do the same thing to both. Choose that. Go back to the calendar. 2020. Oops, January 1st. And now we're applying the filter to the KPI object. And you notice it's immediately changed since we're only looking at a smaller set of data. Now, there's another option here that choose full data or partial data. The difference here is that if you choose the partial data, it's going to give you a number of records in total. It's just going to take the first 100 records and that's it. Or whichever number you put here, 500, 1,000, and so forth. I always suggest using the full data, and then you want to filter on actual relevant information. So we have the query filtered, which filters the underlying data. Let's add in a couple on-screen filters. So we look over the left section into the filtering area, which is just going to choose a plus, and I'm going to choose a filter of PM to start with. And you'll notice we'll get a listing of all of the PMs available within our data set. Let's choose Bob just to take a look and see what it does. And we'll see everything that's in Bob for the past 2 years and his calculations. Now we can add multiple filters in if we wanted to. We have the PM in there. Let's look for a referral source as well. So let's add in a secondary filter of referral source. It gets added to the lower section here. So we can use Bob and whoever's an insurance company from the insurance company for Bob for the past 2 years, and we can see his overall jobs and his average. Now our report is pretty much done and ready to save. I'm going to come in here and remove these screen filters so that they're not saved with the report. We'll come in, we'll change the title of the report to Hours to Contact. And we're ready to save. So we'll go up to the menu, File, Save As. Now when you're saving the report, you have two different options. First is in the My Report section. So if you're in the middle of working on a report, it's not done, you don't want it in production yet, you can save it in the My Report section so that you can come back to it later on, reload it, finish off what you wanted to do, and then produce it into the actual live environment. We're going to save this to the live environment, so it's going to go into your public reports in the live environment and in your folder. This is our demo database, and we're going to call this Mike's Fantastic Demo. And click OK. It is saved. So when we go back to our Smart Report list, it's going to be immediately available for us to choose as a report to run. Reporting and smart reporting are important tools for driving your business. And like any tool, you will get more out of them the more you use them and get familiar with what they can do for you. We just scratched the surface on a number of areas, but hopefully you now have a better picture of some of the new functionality and maybe have a spark or two for ideas of how to get more out of your data. Thank you for your time today.